Okay, I am very excited to be here with Riki-Chen Yehonatan.
Good.
And Riki is a teacher. She's many things and has done many things, I understand. And
Hi.
And now her field of expertise is these beauties which are sitting in front of her on this table. These amazing crystals. And, well, there's so much more to crystals than I ever realized. And apparently they are living conscious beings.
Absolutely.
And, well, okay. So, Riki, a lot of people will say, well, what's the big deal? Just pretty rocks. How would you answer those people?
First of all, I will agree with them. They're very pretty rocks.
But they would deny there's consciousness or life in them.
And I meet all kind of persons through my work with the crystals, and I will divide some people who are maybe more developed or more awakened and speak the spirit path and language. Then there is no need to convince. Then I just talk. We go straight through the information. And some people who are, let's say, sometimes more mathematical, or what I don't see does not exist, or language like that, which is fine because they're just not aware. And my work with the crystals, with these people, is not to convince.
Yes.
Is not to have them change their beliefs. My idea, and that's how it works, I ask the people to open a little window to see other information. In Hebrew it's so hard, just to see what there is there. And usually what happens with those people who don't believe or don't speak the language, I will start with information that is not voodoo. I will explain the chemistry. I will explain how they were born. I will explain the physical formation, because each crystal has a physical formation. I will explain how they're being used in the industry, in the computer,
for sure,
in the current lasers. So I will explain how it's not because they don't talk conscience, these people who think they're pretty rocks.
Yes.
So I will show them how crystals are being interrelated in our life. And usually what happens with those who don't believe, they will sit like that, and I ask people to take, just to take, with no thinking, with no explanations, like a reading.
Yes.
That we do with crystals, and I don't know the person. And I start do the reading from the crystals. I don't know the person. I will do the reading from the crystals. And they will be amazed. And then it's not that they start to believe, but the window is open.
What do you mean you do a reading?
What's a reading?
Yeah, what do you mean by that?
By the way, you heard about Edgar Cayce.
Of course I've heard of America's Sleeping Prophet. He did these life readings, 20,000 different life readings, or 25,000?
You know when? In 1922, 23, 24?
Until he died, I think,
yeah,
in 1945.
Right.
I've read some of the amazing books about
amazing books. So he did readings. Some of his readings are absolute inventions that happened further later, more in time.
Yes.
And I can give you some samples.
Well, he predicted World War I and World War II.
He did more than that.
He prophesied.
He did more than that. So, but his readings are differently than what we did, what I do, what I develop. So what's a reading? A reading is a way of us communicating through the crystals. So when I do reading, the person who comes for the reading, they will pick certain crystals. There's a methodically, but doesn't matter. And I will read, I will talk the information that's coming out from the crystals. It's not prophet. That's why I asked you about Edgar Cayce.
Okay.
It's not prophet. It's not what will be in the future. But it does talk, my reading, crystal reading, will talk about the energy that is taking part in your life play, in your day-to-day behavior, in your thinking, in your patterns of, pardon my English, okay? In your pattern of behaviors. Okay. The crystal could, it's like a map, okay? And the map will show me, it's a channeling way, it's a tool, which sometimes we actually don't need it, but it's a very precise tool because it has chemistry, because it has physically, because it talks a language, and I know, I feel them, I read them. So when I do your reading, it's not what to do tomorrow, but I will pinpoint your strength things or the places where your weaknesses are, how you can change and break certain paradigma in your behaviors. This is what we do with the crystal readings. It's like the crystals helps us to understand ourselves. It helps us in what it is that we want to do. Well, it's a helper. It's a helper from nature.
Okay.
It's a helper from other times that we were. So a reading is a map that can give you an idea what to do next. It doesn't say to buy or sell the house. It's not that.
Yes, I understand.
Okay, it's not that. It's how I can develop, how I can help myself making decisions. What I need in order to make the decision to take this job or that job, which is for my inner.
Okay, now when you mentioned Edgar Cayce connected to crystals,
I have a nice story about that.
Okay, well, of course, Edgar Cayce spoke a lot about Atlantis and their use of crystals. So I thought perhaps you were referring to that. Well, what do you mean? You have a story about Edgar Cayce?
I will say a couple of things. First of all, when I read Edgar Cayce in my beginning spiritual path, I didn't understand anything that's written there. I understood the Hebrew or the English, I understood the word, but I didn't understand the concept.
Right.
And it was one of the books was very complicated for me to understand.
It's not simple English also.
Also in Hebrew and in English it's not simple. So I let it go, and then I did more and more work with the crystals. And at one point I was sitting, and actually I was able to understand the book. I read the book and I understand not only the English, I understand the message, I understand what's said. And so I read another page and another page and another page, and this is what the funny story that I want to say. The time that I was reading this book, I was sitting in a warehouse of a building that my husband used as a warehouse. It was not our warehouse, it was some company's warehouse, okay? And I get to page, I don't remember, 34 or something like that, which I never was able to get through. And I'm reading there about an invention, because he was a prophet, and he talked there about an invention, and he called it maser. You can check it. He called it maser. And he was talking in this maser invention that he was talking about. He was talking about the quartz, the crystal quartz, and the ruby, which is one of the Avnei Choshen. How do you say Avnei Choshen?
Precious jewel?
No, from the biggest priest for the Jews.
The high priest.
The high priest.
At the temple, at the Jewish temple. So he wore a breastplate with sacred crystals, and ruby was one of them.
Right, and the sacred crystals, each crystal, there were 12 crystals in 4 rows, and each crystal represent one of the 12 tribes of the Judaism.
Is that what's called the Urim and the Tumim?
Yes, the Urim and Tumim, exactly, exactly. So the ruby is one of the stones in from the tribe called Reuven. There's a long story about that, but we'll put it aside. Ruby and quartz in another mechanism is what makes today the pattern of laser. The laser beam.
Okay.
Laser beam is quartz and ruby.
Wow.
He called it, he was talking about quartz and ruby, he
Wow.
called it maser.
Wow.
60 years later,
Yes,
people
yes.
developed, not 60, 50
Less,
years
less.
later,
Yeah.
50 or 40 years later, people developed the laser invention. And what was the warehouse they were sitting? This, I always get signs, information. I know I'm on the right track. Where was I? Finally was able to read Edgar Cayce, this warehouse I was talking about.
Okay.
The company was called Laser Technology.
Oh, wow.
This company was developing lasers, how you call it, glasses to see at night, all kind of laser patterns. So I was, me personally, I was finally able to understand Edgar Cayce in the warehouse of a laser company when I'm reading there of the invention of the maser.
That's amazing, actually.
As this kind of stories I have and I love them. So by the way, in the computer, if we were talking about information in the computer, in the hidden system in the computer, we have quartz.
Yes, of course.
At the watches,
Quartz
we have
watches,
quartz.
of course.
So people who thinks they're just
The whole modern world.
evolves.
Not only that, but according to a very well-known channeled website called The Group, Steve
הקבוצה, Steve
Rother and The Group, is quite famous, like Cryon or Crimson Circle, and he's connected with them. They all began with Cryon, and he says that crystals there have always been crystals in the body, but now we're developing new crystals, and our bodies are becoming more crystalline. He talks about the pineal gland and the crystals in the brain, and there are, there's
the ears.
in the ears, and there are, and this is actual science.
It is actual science.
We have machines that can see the crystals in the bodies of living people and photograph the crystals. So what is it?
And we can see how we can see, the work of the Japanese researcher, that you can see how they developed.
The great Dr. Emoto, yes.
Yeah, how they crystallized.
Well, when he blessed the water, the water will crystallize.
The book, Messages from the Water.
Messages from water.
But what's interesting...
The water will crystallize in beautiful patterns. Whereas if you yell at the water or say, "You idiot," then it will...
You know which picture I love the most there?
Which one?
In the book, with the crystals. There's a song from Elvis Presley, Broken Heart.
Oh, yeah.
And the crystals that were formed from the song are torn apart.
Yes.
As opposed to Bach or Beethoven, a nice crystals.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm sorry I didn't bring the book. We could have showed it on the camera. It's really nice.
I have the book.
No, but it's
I
okay.
think I have
The
it.
message is clear.
Okay.
By the way, this is why we are... I want to say something about
crystal.
that. We are crystals.
We are crystals.
That's why we relate to them. And I want to say another thing. The crystals are here for us to guide us in the spirit world. And the spirit world will guide us and bring us into the technology and science world. Because before there was science, Atlantics is all science.
But they weren't connected to spirit very well. Were they?
Less than Lemuria, for example.
And less at the end. Maybe at the beginning, things started out well, as I understand. But towards the end, they lost that connection with spirit.
That's why it was demolished, destroyed, and so can. But they didn't start like that. Also, I want to say something. So they are supposed to help us in our spirit and in development, and we are supposed to help them and keep them and save them from being destroyed, broken. We have to take care of them in a very gentle and kind way.
Ah, that's very interesting.
So it's like both ways. They save, they guide and guard us in the world that we live in. We understand material, but we less understand spirit. And we have to keep them because they're human beings. They're like human beings. They how do you say Yeshuyot? Havaya?
They are beings.
Beings, conscious beings. So they absolutely are.
The Native Americans will call them stone people.
They are
or
stone people. They're stone people. And if you have crystals long enough and they work with you long enough, you see the changes. Like I was holding the crystal and you felt it.
Yes.
When we do meditations or healing with crystals, we feel them. We see the pictures, we get the information. So,
okay. So, Riki, you are, I understand, a bank executive, and you had about 5,000 people working.
Yeah, I was normal once upon.
Working on 5,000 people working underneath you.
Yes.
In the hierarchy, and it's quite a shift you made from.
Yeah.
It's quite a shift.
But it was not all at once. It happened in intervals of time.
I suppose.
You know, I meet in my world, in this world, not the crystal world, the growing world, the awakening world, the people who deal with awareness. It doesn't matter religions or not religion. It's not that. It's just to understand that there's more to life than this technical things that are around us.
Yes.
And so when you are awakened, and it doesn't matter if you work with this system or this approach or this belief, doesn't matter. When we talk the awakening language, when we talk the spirit language, people reach this point in different ways. Sometimes it's physical drama. Sometimes,
yeah, that was my way.
which I don't know.
I had an accident. Yeah.
That was your way.
Yeah, that was my
okay,
way.
so this is like
And it took years.
a big health problem.
A crisis.
A crisis, a
Yeah.
big health crisis, and
Yeah.
it could be an accident. It could be
A sickness.
Yeah, it could
sure.
be cancer that you are coming
Sure.
out, but it will be something on that crisis, health. Another way people are coming to understand that there's more to life than what we see is financial crisis.
Yes.
Bankruptcy.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Being fired from a job. Okay, so that's the other part of
Divorce.
people. Excuse me?
Divorce.
Divorce. That's emotional. Wait.
Okay.
I'm talking about health. I'm talking about financial.
Okay.
And now we go to the emotional part. Okay? The emotional part could be the word divorce. Could be things that bumps into our life. Things that happen in the family. Somebody died, somebody left,
Yes.
being unfaithful, things like that that will affect our emotions. We lead people to see what else is there in life, which will bring us to awakening. And then there's the fourth part, which I believe I fall there. Searchers. Everything is okay, so to speak. No divorce, no big drama, no war, no big financial thing, but curiosity. What else is there? And then you start studying. And it doesn't matter if it's a approach like this, a teacher like that, a guru from there, it doesn't matter. When you're curious and you open, in Hebrew it's called soha, you open your windows to what else is there. And you are open to the information that comes, then eventually the switch and the change will come. So when I started, you ask how I moved from a banker, financial person with thousands of people working with me, under me, projects of thousands of $100,000 and so forth,
Yes.
to be a spirit guide or a spirit person or a
Yes.
spirit student.
Yes.
So it starts from the search. It starts from the, okay, job is okay, bank is okay, husband is okay, daughters are okay, cats are fine, so what's else there? And then you start, and then there is a path, and there's a calling, and there's a recalling, and each person finds their path.
Yes.
So for me, it was
the way.
it was in parts. I didn't start with crystals.
Yes.
I start with other subjects, but
You're a
crystals were
Reiki
there.
master.
I'm Reiki master. I'm a Ayurveda person. I am what else? I did so many things. Utzmat Harakut, all kind of
Power.
vortex. The holistic pulsing. That's what they call it. Oh, yeah, I studied so many things in the 16 years that.
Okay, I believe it.
But the crystals were there, and for example, I can tell you something about
That
this.
is amazing.
Okay, I don't know.
What
Is the
is
camera
that?
sees that? The camera sees that? Great.
What
Thank
is
you
that?
for telling us. Thank you. This has started way before I knew all these friends. I just loved stones. Stones, shelves, wood, things that has to do with nature. Like you found this stone in the ground of your house.
Yes, that's
you
right.
didn't plan it. You did in your other times.
Well, somebody did. Maybe.
Somebody did.
The angels did.
The angels, they will bring me talk later about these work that we do. I would like to talk about what we do with the crystal plantations.
Yes, you actually plant.
I
Not
plant
only
crystals.
do you take crystals out of the ground,
I plant them.
you plant them.
Yes, so we
Yes.
will talk about it in a minute. I want to say about this thing. This is a petrified wood.
Oh yes.
Okay, you
Yes.
can see that it's the איך אומרים גזע?
The stump, the trunk.
Okay, the trunk. It's
Yeah.
not the roots and it's not the leaves. It's the
Yes.
trunk of the tree. Thank you for the waters. So this has way before I started that. I went on this celebration to a friend, and they talked all kind of things that I was not interested. You know, news, politics, things that I was not interested anymore. Stopped reading newspapers and stuff. And I found this outside at the garden, like yours. I found it next to the tree, so I took it and I hold it and I talked to that, and I understood all kind of things, and I understood why I'm not interested in this conversation. That's why I went outside and I found this thing, and I was sitting all through we were like in a picnic thing. So I was sitting with this thing and cherishing it and stuff, and it was time to leave. So I set apart from this lovely petrified wood, and I put it back over there where it was by the tree. And we kissed and said goodbye to go from the hosts. And he runs after me and went, wait a minute, you forgot something. He says, no, I have my bag, everything is with me. I was, no. And he offered me the stone. He understood that it has to go with me. There was the love for the crystals way before I knew that this name is petrified wood and what it does and so forth.
What does it do?
Petrified wood has a very interesting, and you will understand it in a minute. Hi, it's okay, hello. Petrified wood brings the energy of the wood.
Yes.
So it has the roots that gives us a good hold, good grid in earth.
Yes.
Then it has the stem.
The trunk.
The trunk. That brings us the stability. The trunk is usually stable,
Yes.
big, you can hold it, you can trust it, you build houses from that and so forth. It's the stability. That's the past, the roots, the stability.
Yes.
And the leaves and the fruit is sending us to our upper level, to our connection to the universe, to Almighty God, to whoever you want to say it. So it brings this energy. But look at the name it got, petrified wood.
Wood that's become stone.
Because it's a wood that becomes stone. Okay? So it means that it was many years. So if I want to do work with people about other Gilgulim, how do you say Gilgulim in English?
Incarnation.
Other incarnations, petrified stone would be a very good stone to do it, to do incarnation work. And in addition to that, think of the name petrified. What does it mean petrified? I'm scared of something. I'm petrified,
yes.
When I freeze, so I freeze, and then I breathe, and I learn the situation, and then I act the way I need to act. This is the energy that the petrified wood brings us.
What?
So, in addition to reincarnation,
what is the fear? What is it point?
When I am in fear, when I get frightened of something,
yes.
When I freeze, when I don't know if I'm coming or going, when
yes.
I don't know what to do, the petrified wood, and here is another version of it, and here is another version of it, if you see them, the petrified wood would bring me a calming energy that say, wait a minute, it's okay. Connect to your roots, connect to your paths, connect to the stability, connect to your uppers, and you are fine. This is the energy this is why I'm having many petrified woods, because they are, now when I think personally, when I got it when I was debating, leave the bank, don't leave the bank, leave the bank, don't leave the bank. Leaving the bank, do I need to tell you, it's money, it's salary, it's lots of money, prestige,
security.
You think it's security. It's really, there is no security in nothing. But you think you have the illusion of security, let's say. And at that point, when I interpret to understand, I didn't know what this stone does. I just needed it. Later when I studied, way after that, when I studied, I understood that that's the energy that it brings, the confidence that you need to do the move. Do you see that?
Yes, I do. What kind of wood was that? What kind of a tree was it? That great.
I have no idea. The guy brought it. I interviewed him. He bought it from the Sahara desert, and he was not allowed to bring it. He hid it in his tamil, in his backpack. So I have no idea what tree it is. But I can tell you that if I compare to this petrified wood, this is a much more ancient tree. It goes way back to other civilizations.
When the Sahara had trees.
When the Sahara had trees, exactly.
Yes.
He found it. It's not like a store or something like that.
Yes.
He found it. It came up from the ground for him. And he said, well, if it comes, I have to take it. And I got it from here maybe 10 years after he had it. And it was just thrown there.
Yes.
But I needed it.
Because people don't understand. You say the crystals want to be... These are conscious beings.
They're conscious beings.
And they want to be seen.
They want to be seen.
They want to be appreciated.
They want to be appreciated. They want to be touched. They want to be touched.
And they want to serve.
They want to serve. They want to clean every now and then. In other words, they need to take a bath like we do.
Is it okay to put a whole bunch of them in a like a bowl and just give them a bath at the same time?
Yes, it's like a little crystal family orgy, but I will say that. We call it purification. Okay? Every now and then, because crystals, because of the chemistry, we didn't get too into that, but we will release the chemistry thing, but because of the chemistry, and because do you know how they got the name crystals? You know why? It's not an exam, it's a question. I can give you the answer. I know the answer.
Not exactly, except of course what's clear. What always struck me is the word Christ and crystal, and the connection between those words.
Okay, no, it is not. Maybe it's a nice explanation, but it's not my explanation. It's a good one.
It's not. No, not an explanation. Just an observation.
Okay.
Christ and crystal. I kind of think it has to do with flowing energy, but what is the reason?
Okay, I'll go in a different path, and I will say that if we know that the crystal were born way down there, way down in the earth in the nut, in how do you say, גרעין כדור הארץ,
in the core of the earth.
In the core of the earth.
Yeah.
Okay, and because of weather, they will come out, like the magma will come out.
Because of the
Earth movement.
movements.
Earth movement.
Yeah.
Okay, so magma comes in, magma comes out. There is wind, there is earth, there is fire, there's all kind
Yes.
of nature. And finally, they come out and they crystallization. They form a crystallization depending on what minerals there were around there.
Yes.
So the name crystallization is the process of how they were formed. Crystallization.
Okay.
So from the word crystallization, how they were formed, how they were born, how they were invented, then we use the word crystal. It got their name from the process of being.
Okay.
That's how I feel. And in Hebrew it's a little funny because we call them crystals,
Yes.
but also use the word gavish.
That's
And
right.
gavish is itgabshut, how it crystallized.
How it crystallized.
So either way, how you look at it, there was a process. And in this process, good energy was attached. So when we use them, we work with them, we plant them, we wear them as a jewelry, we do healing with them. All this energy that was planned in it during the crystallization process is coming out.
Yes.
Now, which means they observe energy and they release energy. They observe energy and release energy. So this is why they need to be purified, just like us.
You mean put in water?
I mean, put in
blessed.
water.
Or blessed?
Or blessed, or just the way when you, after a day, you take a shower, right?
Yes.
So they need a shower.
Okay. That's
And
right.
in addition to a shower, if I have to match it, you eat.
Yes.
So they need also food. Their food is not how we eat. Their food is the sun
Or the moon.
and the moon. Exactly. So like the purification has two parts. The cleaning, which could be water, running water, rain. Rain is fantastic.
Yes.
When there is rain, all my crystals are
Outside.
outside.
Oh,
Go
what a nice
outside.
idea.
It's a very good idea because some people say to purify crystals in ocean water.
Mm-hmm.
I less like it because they went through many traumas to come to us. They were in the mind. Somebody took them out of the mind. We did trade. Not all the trade is nice and fair.
Yes,
Sometimes
yes.
they were sitting in closed places, closed cages, closed closets,
Treat
Now-
like stupid things.
like stupid things, like worthless things,
Worthless
or like
things.
or like very expensive things, but nobody sees them. They hide them. They put them in the safe.
Yes.
Let's say,
Yes.
and it's not their purpose. Their purpose is to be here with us and to live with us. So that's why we will purify them and clean them.
Okay.
And when we touch them, we get energy and we give them energy, good energy. So they need to be seen and touched. And sometimes the stones, like this one, for example, it's called malachite.
Malachite.
When I got it, it was not shining like this. It was
Wow.
it was someplace like this. It was somebody carved it, shaped it, but it had no light. And I treated this one for almost a year, talking to it, working with it, healing with it. The healing is mutual. Like you said before, when I hold the stone, you felt the healing. It's a mutual healing.
Yes.
We do it and give it sun and give it moon and give it water and put some flowers on it. And like you said, seeds, flowers, rice, weeds, all kind of things from nature will help them, like us. When we want to be healthy, we eat. better.
Yes, as a matter
So
of fact.
it's they're like humans. They're like beings.
Well, they're in our bodies, so
They're in our bodies, definitely.
we must have much more. And one of my favorite teachers many years ago, a great writer and shaman healer named Barbara Han Clow, she said our bodies are converting now from being we're going from being carbon-based DNA to quartz-based or crystalline-based.
And she was right.
She was right.
She was right.
And since then I've
she is right. She is right. She's still right. Now I understand it even more.
She's still right. And since then I've read it in different sources, including very scientific sources. Our bodies are metamorphosizing to become to be silica-based. That's what she said. We're becoming, instead of carbon-based life forms, silica-based life forms.
By the way, this is how the healing works. When I try to explain what is crystal healings, is exactly that. I'll give you an example. Are you interested?
I would love an example. And I'll take a blanket.
Yesterday, this is how energy works. Yesterday morning, I was saying to myself, when I was doing my morning writings, I was telling you before, that I work too hard and I don't have that much time for my breathing, and I'm involved in too many projects and I need to slow down. I wrote it in my papers in the morning. And then I went out for my morning walk, and surely enough I stumble and I fall on the floor on the street, and all my right side, my doing side, my right side, right side and left side of the body, so all my right side was injured, here and there. But basically my,
your ribs.
My ribs, okay? This crystal, the reason it's with us here, I slept with it. This would be for me instead of taking a painkiller.
Wow.
I slept with it because this is the calcite. We talked about it before, I think before the interview.
And the calcite is good for
The calcite is good for healings for bones, muscles.
Yes.
So I just slept with it. And yesterday when we talked, we talked the day before.
Okay.
Yesterday evening I was contemplating with myself, well, maybe I will call you and we will postpone the interview because I was at no shape of coming here.
Yes.
But because I'm in a spirit path, I speak the language, I believe, because without belief it's not working. It's not enough to know the knowledge. I believe. It's not in God, but I believe. And I slept.
Or at least to be open. I mean, people who are, if you're open and you pick up a crystal, then if you're open to feeling something and not believing, you still may feel the energy of the crystal.
Yeah, you will feel. You will feel. I have some students like that. You will feel, but you would say, of course, I'm holding it so it gets hard. They will give rational explanation to what they feel. A crystal can fall apart.
If they're not open.
They will feel. A crystal, or I can hold it, nothing will happen. Somebody will hold it and it will fall apart. And you will say, I hold it too strong. So, even people who don't speak the language or are not believing, they can feel, but they will give explanations of what their mind can accept. Whereas if my husband, he's a normal person, and last night he says, so I'll give you a pill, I'll give you a pill, I'll give you a pill. I say, I don't want to take a pill, I don't take pills. Or say, yeah, sure, you're going to sleep with your crystals. I said, yeah. And it's okay, we've been together 32 years, he went through all the process, they understand what I'm going through. So, I slept with the crystals, so I don't need a pill.
Yes, you don't need a pill.
So, it's not that it's over, it's absolutely not over, but in a move that I could get into the car and sit here. And yesterday I was kaput, finished.
Okay.
And the doctor said, okay, you need to take X-ray, you don't need it. No. I'm here.
You know,
that's the healing.
That's the healing.
And I want to say one more thing, because just to be, for our viewers, I would just like to say, I was saying that the crystals are formed in the hard core of the earth.
Or the magma. Or
the magma. But some crystals, they're not crystals, but we call them crystals, are not from there. For example, I'm holding here meteor. How do they say meteor?
A meteor. Oh,
meteor.
Wow. I have one too.
Okay, so this is not from Earth. This is from way up. But we say when we find the meteor, we give them we call them crystals. They were not crystallized like I was explaining before, the crystallization process, because they're coming from outer space. But they come here to help us for some reason.
Okay.
We need them. And we find them and we work with them. So that's a crystal that it's not really crystal, you know, I don't want to go into this explanation of how it's formed and how the DNA works. And the other one is I want to talk about the shells, the avalon or the coral or the shells, which they're formed in water. So they're also not crystal, but we, the crystal people, we call them crystals also. But it's not crystal because this was not crystallized the way this was crystallized.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so I just want to be, for the record, to set the record straight, that not all the crystals are from the earth. Some are from above, some are from the water.
But Riki, in the end, I understand that basically, or all the elements of our body were created in the cores of stars that have exploded.
And that's why it all makes sense.
I mean, if you go, if you look at the periodic table, everything, especially the more complex ones, they were created in star cores that exploded, correct?
Yeah, correct. This is my understanding too.
We are made up of star stuff, as is everything, frankly.
And in a funny way, I was a banker and my husband was a painter.
Yes.
Life goes through. My husband started studying astronomy.
Oh, wow.
He's an expert astronomist.
Wow.
And Kabbalah.
Okay.
I went into the stones.
Yes.
In a funny way, we crisscrossed.
Yes, you did.
And then, maybe 10 years ago, I went to once a year around August, we have the rain of stars.
Yeah, the meteor shower.
The meteor shower, exactly. Around August. In Israel, it's around August time. So I went to this shower once, the first time I went there. And there you sit with astronomists.
Yes.
Their whole business is understanding the stars. And I'm understanding stones. I don't understand stars, I understand stones.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, something like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, somebody said, here are the Pleiades, how you say it in English, Pleiadot?
The Pleiades.
Pleiades. Here are the Pleiades coming up. Somebody was saying in the group, I said, Pleiades, wait a minute, I work with the energy of the Pleiades. At that time, which is like about 12, 13 years ago, I didn't do the connection, I didn't do connecting between the stars and the crystals and the information. They were like separate words for me.
Yes.
So when they said that the Pleiades are coming, I was very, very interested in this thing because I know it from a different place. So when we came back from this venture, I went to study about the Pleiades. And then I found out that the shape of them is like the stars of the Pleiades. The shape, the tzvir, I don't know how they say tzvir in English, is like the Subaru, the sign of the Subaru, you know?
Okay, well, you're making it now.
Yeah, okay. That's the sign. That's the sign of the Pleiades.
That's the what?
That's the shape of
the astrological symbol for the Pleiades? What do you mean?
Yeah, that's how it's shaped.
That's how the symbol.
Yeah, that's.
Well, I mean, the stars are round. I mean, they're not shaped. Like
No, but the Pleiades is many stars.
the constellation.
Exactly. Thank you. I didn't find the word. By Hebrew, it's tzvir kochavim. Because how it's
The
said.
constellation. Yes.
Okay. The main star of the Pleiades is called Maya.
Well, I understand it's Alcyone, or Alcyone. Okay, Maya is certainly important, yes.
That's the main star in the Pleiades.
Well, okay.
Not the main, an important
It's
one.
an important one,
Okay.
yes, it is.
Our daughter, we named her Maya
Yes.
20 years before. I was with the crystals and my husband was with the stars.
Okay.
So somebody can listen to that and go, oh, nice coincidence.
No, these things are
There's
not
no
coincidence.
coincidence. Absolutely,
not.
there's no coincidence.
And as a matter of fact, speaking of the star Maya,
Mm-hmm.
well, the Mayan Indians, they come,
The Mayan Indians, of
they
course.
come from the Pleiades.
Of course. I know all that now, but at the time I was not connecting all that.
Yes.
And surely when we gave our daughter name Maya, I was not into this world. I was a banker and my husband was a painter. That's it.
It is amazing. Speaking of Native Americans, they have traditions. Well, we came from the star Sirius, and another tribe will say, we come from the Pleiades.
Mhm.
And indigenous people have these traditions. Just a little, aside. But they, the Dogon tribe in Africa, not the Dogon, Dogon,
Okay.
in Africa are very famous because they have a sacred cave. And in their cave, they have drawings of Sirius A and Sirius B. Now, Sirius B was only discovered in modern times with powerful telescopes.
Mhm.
You can't see it with the naked eye. They should have not known about Sirius B unless they had inside information.
Wow.
They have these ancient cave glyphs, petroglyphs, showing exactly how these two stars look. They, Sirius A and Sirius B, and they say, well, we come from Sirius. So we all come from
Someplace.
the stars, actually.
Definitely.
Okay, Ricky, and the Pleiadians, by the way, they say that information is stored in stone and bone. Okay? So,
I agree. I know.
I know you know. One of the things we talked about once is John Willow talked once about the great world teacher, John Willow Melchizedek.
Mm-hmm.
He talked about the first time, to his amazement, he put a crystal up to his third eye, and it started talking to him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they had a conversation. They had, like you and I are having a conversation, I guess a telepathic conversation.
Sure.
Like, and his surprise.
I'm not surprised.
What?
I'm not surprised.
I know you're not. So I know you're not because you do things like that. Would you like to talk about a conversation?
Information.
That
I
was
think.
important for you. That was.
Yeah, we can talk about that. So many things we
especially
can talk.
important. Now, when we did the radio interview,
Mm-hmm.
On the internet radio show,
Mm-hmm.
you talked about when your daughter was giving birth. Maybe tell that story.
That story? Okay. I have so many stories, doesn't it?
You know what? According to your intuition, whatever
I
seems
want,
right to you.
if it's okay with you, I will tell this story. I don't know how much time we have. I'll tell this
We
story.
have as much as we want, basically.
This is fantastic. This is very good. I love it. I'm not moving here. We'll tell all the stories. Before that, I want to say, in addition for me being a student of life, a spirit student of life, I'm also a teacher, a spiritual teacher. I teach crystals. I teach how to work with them, how to read them, how to heal. And in each course, I will have one lesson that we will take a new stone Usually a stone that I don't know. This is how I enlarge my knowledge. I will go to a shop and I will buy 10 students. I will buy 11 stones, one for me, 10 for the rest of them. I will read nothing about the stone, and we will do a meditation with the stone. We will hold it, we'll put it on the body, we will put it on the third eye. We'll take a piece of paper, our notebooks, and we will write what comes up, what we see, what we hear, what we understand about the stone, about the universe. Sometimes I will get a personal message specifically for me, and so forth. And each one of us will write down what came up. Okay? What I found out, because this is almost a science for me, what I find out that about 70% of the information, and then we read. Each person takes out her note and she reads what she wrote. Usually it's she, not always. We have guys too.
Oh, it's like all the
usually it's
the
a
whole
she.
New Age thing. It's mostly women.
In each class, I will have sometimes there are, not sometimes, there always will be.
Yes, not always. I'm sure you get all women groups too.
Yeah. Now that you think about it, it's true. But sometimes let's say lots of them are women and less
more open right now.
My husband is saying that I'm more spiritual than him. That's all.
What?
My husband would say that you are more spiritual. That's it.
Yes.
So anyway,
probably,
each person,
for now,
each person would for now. That's a good addition. Each person. But by the way, the guys who I meet, gentlemen that I meet, doing energy work.
Yes.
They will be very, very developed.
Yes.
They will come ready.
Yes.
Sometimes I see people, ladies, who are developing, and there's another recall and another shelf coming through, and they're growing up. The guys that are coming, that I meet, they're already there.
Okay.
Quicker.
Anyway,
what I was saying is that we will take a stone, a crystal that none of us know or recognize, and we will do a process with it. And something between 60 to 70% of the information would be similar. We would be writing the same thing.
That's quite
because
amazing.
the same information is stored.
Okay.
Like Melchizedek was talking about, because the information was inscribed in there. It's for us to discover it.
Well, he was talking about an actual conversation with
It
a living consciousness.
That depends on the level of the person who's holding the crystal.
Exactly.
So if the more I'm developed, the more I'm open, the more I'm awakened, the more I don't know if the word spiritual is a good word, but the more I feel things, I see things, I hear things.
Yes.
And by the way, information comes to different people in different ways. Some people see pictures, some people see the energy, some people hear, some people see letters, Information comes in a different way to different people, up to their sometimes upbringing, sometimes their development, whatever.
Okay.
But what you said is amazing, is the 60-70% would be the same information. The rest of it will be individual.
Yes.
It will be something that I will get, and it will be for me or for my family. And you will, the same way we were talking before, you want to do reading for you because here you have a couple. Or I will get something that is mine, and you will get something that is yours. But when we speak it out loud, here is the 60-70%, which is the same information. And when we speak the rest of it, all of a sudden I can say something which I thought it's mine, it's for me, it's a message for me, it's a conversation with me, it's a picture that I see, it's image that would come to talk to me, and somebody would see it and she said, I saw her too. Whoa. And there was my grandmother, or whatever, and she was here. And sometimes, people, the way they see. I have a few students that are nurses in hospital, and they're giving birth.
Yes.
They help giving birth. And
they help.
They help giving birth.
They work in the delivery room.
They work in the delivery room. They help the delivery. And they're crystal ladies, by the way,
yes.
of course. and they have crystals, sometimes in the pocket,
Yes.
sometimes, they have crystals
Yes.
around them. And many times they get information what to do, which has no sense in a medical performer.
Like Edgar Cayce, by the way, used to get a lot of unusual information that was very, very successful, speaking of Cayce.
That's right, that's right. So sometimes they would say to the doctor, it's a nurse, and she would say to the doctor, now we need to do this and this and that. And the doctor would say, no, la 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 la, whatever, by the book. But she knows differently because she got the information.
Yes.
And there's this particular three ladies, they're very strong ladies, they insist, and they were never wrong. And the doctors learned to listen to them in time. In time, because sometimes it's prestige. I'm the doctor,
Yes.
it's just a nurse, and so forth.
We know about doctors.
So the information is there. The information is there. Sometimes it's for me, and sometimes it's to be shared.
Okay.
So that's one thing about the stones talking to us. The other thing is this stone. Sometimes in my particular development, basically I'm Atlantic. Atlantic?
You are from Atlantis.
I'm from Atlantis. Even though I was in Mount Shasta last year, I went to Mount Shasta and I went to check to see my Lemurian origins and to make some kind of an order in this, what came from Atlantis and what came from Lemuria. But for me, lots of the things I feel and I don't know the explanation, and later on the information makes sense. Like the stone I told you about, this thing, I was attached to the petrified wood.
Yes.
I had no idea, I just loved it. I needed to have it, I needed to hold it. I was not listening to what it was saying and so forth. But with time I understood, of course I got it as a present, as I was saying before, but with time I understood that this is part of my path of giving me the courage to leave the bank and the money and the salary and the prestige and the car and the overseas
and the security
and
so on and so forth.
And the meat jar. So sometimes the information makes sense later. Sometimes it comes right in due time. And the story I told you about my daughter is the due time, is when it came, not understanding later, understanding now, or listening, or feeling it,
or listening to it.
Okay, I will tell that story. It's a story I love to tell. My daughter was pregnant, and she was living overseas, and she was living in a country that Israelis were not
very welcome.
They were not very welcome.
No.
So at the time when she was time to give birth, there was a thing of hospitals and this and that, and I was here in Israel, and she was there in a country not very friendly to Israel.
Yes.
And naturally, first granddaughter, I'm very worried and I'm very tense.
Yes.
So instead of being worried, what I did, I should have brought you the pictures.
It's okay.
I'll email them to you. So what I did, instead of being worried, I said, okay, what will work for me? And I took the crystals and I set them in a formation, because the work with the crystals, in addition to the energy and everything, it works with the sacred geometry. How you say it?
Sacred geometry.
Sacred geometry. Pardon. Sacred geometry?
Yes.
Okay. So I was setting the crystals in a certain geometry that they instructed me. It's not knowledge.
Yes.
It's not something that somebody taught me or something that I'm teaching other people.
Yes.
It was just information saying, take this, put here, take this, put there, and it was formed. And as it went through, because it was 5 days, 5 very, very complicated days, in addition to that they switched hospital, and it was there. But I was in another land getting information how to set them and what to do with them. And I was adding crystals and I was taking out crystals that didn't need to be there anymore in this work. And I was talking to them, and they were talking to me, and they were instructing me. There was nothing, when I see it later, there was nothing that I learned someplace. They were just instructing me how to do it.
And it was helping with the process.
It was helping with the process, but I must add something else. All of a sudden, I hear this information saying, shut the store, finish, stop. You did enough. Like the crystal was saying, we're not needed anymore. The work was done. So I reset, I purify them, I put them aside, and the information I received go to the beach. Which is nothing special, because beach for me, to go to the ocean, is a lovely place to get restarted. It's a place that I go when I'm feeling down or when I'm feeling high. It doesn't matter. The beach and the energy of the ocean for me is a place. So it's not strange for me that they send me to the beach and they didn't send me to the supermarket, okay?
Yes.
Just but they said the crystal work is done. And I believed them. I didn't insist to work with them. It was finished. I purified them. And I went to the beach. And on my way to the beach, my son-in-law phoned me and said, okay, not much. We have to go to operation, which my daughter didn't want to in the first place. She didn't want to go into the operation. And it says there is nothing else to be done. She needs to go into operation. And the information these friends were saying, we did everything we can, everything in my power. And this is enough. Now, let the doctors do what they need to do. Let the nurse do what they need to do. The nurses do what they need to do. Let your daughter do the delivery. And furthermore, because I had communications with my granddaughter while she was still, in
the womb.
In the womb. We had lots of conversation. Of course, I'm in Israel. She's in another country. How can I communicate with her if not like that? And
wait. You mean telepathic conversation, and also you believe that her spirit was guiding you with the crystals, or
I think it was some kind of a mutual work.
Okay.
And more than that, I don't want to go too much into details, but I was telling my granddaughter through this work, take as much time as you need to come out in the body that you need to be.
Yes.
And she came.
Yes.
Exactly how she needed to be. And it took some time for me to understand that. But when it's because I listen to the crystals, because I feel the crystals. I knew exactly what to do. I can tell you about Gilad Shalit also, or other things. I knew when it was enough. They did all the work needed.
And then you stop.
And then I stop, and you have to listen, because when you're fanatic about something, no, more, I add this, I take this, and do, because you're into it and you want to help.
Yes.
And it's the same when I do his crystal planning and I do earth healing. A lot of times I have to listen and say, wait a minute, this is enough. No need for more. Sometimes I have to take something out of the mandala.
Yes.
Doesn't need it to be there. So that's at one time out of many times that I listened, because I had no idea what to do. There was nothing technical that I could do. And anyway, Eliyahu, that I think about it, I'm glad that I was not there with them, because I could sit far away with the energy, with the information, and do the proper, precise. I must say, the crystal work is a very, very precise work. It's not be'erech. It's not next to.
It's not approximate. It's precise.
It's precise. It's precise. I can tell a story about these two beauties.
Yes.
About preciseness. You see this? It was one.
Whoa.
I show it. Wait a minute. I show it. I don't know if the camera can see it, but it was one. This stone called carnelian. This stone is one of the Urim Vetumim, one of the stones that the higher priest had.
On his breastplate.
Yeah, one of them.
He would use that to prophesize.
Yeah,
and he would use that to get answers from God.
Yeah, but he used and also used that to be in touch with the 12 tribes.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
12 tribes. Each stone symbolized one tribe.
All right.
So they didn't have like we have today, telephone and fax and mail and email and all this thing. So this is how we contact.
Whoa, I never knew that.
Okay, so this is how we this is how we contact. 12 tribes contact.
Okay.
So this particular stone is called carnelian, and it's one of the 12 stones.
Which tribe?
Carnelian is wait, erase. The stones, they come in families.
Okay.
Okay, like we are families.
Yes.
Like I'm an individual, I'm a part of a bigger family,
yes.
of a bigger family, of a bigger family, yes. of the universe. The crystals, by the way, are the same. For example, the quartz is the big thing. And underneath that, we have more crystals belonging to the same family. The also chemistry, SiO2. Okay, there will be the same family. The carnelian is a granddaughter of the quartz. Between them two, they sit a crystal called Shevo. Agate.
Agate, okay.
Agate is one of the tribes.
Okay.
Belongs to one of the tribes. I don't remember the tribe. I can bring it up in a second. So this crystal, the energy that we give to this crystal, that through the years, is saying it goes with the second chakra, and it talks about creativity. It talks about life. It talks about fertility. That's why with time this crystal is known to be that it is good for a lady who is carrying a child to carry this crystal with her as a guide, as a keeper. And even in Judaism, in the Rabbeinu Bechaye, it's some kind of book that our and the masters wrote.
Yes.
The crystal in Judaism, Rabbeinu Bechaye, it's like from the Talmud.
An ancient book, yes.
Okay, an ancient book. This particular crystal is known that lady who is carrying with child is allowed to carry this crystal and to move it and to carry and to use it even on a Shabbat, which we're not allowed to do things on a Shabbat.
Yes.
Even on the Shabbos, because it's protecting the woman and the child.
Wow.
So this particular crystal through the years became like a kamea. I don't know how you say kamea in English.
Kamea.
Kamea, okay. Yeah. Like something that I will cherish and wear with me to like you have in a door and so forth. You say kamea in English also?
Kamea.
Okay, kamea. So this crystal went through many of people that I know who were giving birth.
Wow.
It went from one to another. It went like 7 births. And I don't sell it. I give it. They wear it. They use it. They hold it. The baby comes up. I get the stone back.
Yes.
This is what happened with this.
Wow.
Now the funny part, the interesting part, how energy works. This is when you understand the science. It's amazing. What happened with this stone is that the 8th pregnancy that it was carrying, to start with, when I got it, when the lady asked for it, they already knew that something is wrong with the baby.
Yes.
So when I gave it, I was contemplating with myself, is it good to give it? Is it not good to give it? But we know that whatever is happening, it's not b'mikre. What happens is the right thing to happen.
Yes.
So since the woman asked for it, I gave it, and I explained, it is protecting the mother and the child. Let it be. Whatever will be, let it be. That's the right thing to be. That particular pregnancy was out. to save the mother.
It was not to term.
It was not
brought to term.
It was not brought to term. But this was the idea. It was to save the mother. Then comes the next pregnancy, and I say, oi, oi, oi. How am I going to give this now to somebody when before that there was a breakthrough?
Yes.
There was something didn't work right. We know that it worked right because that pregnancy was not supposed to come through. What came up later is 2 twins, and good end story. But
good.
So when I gave it to the next lady, I said, I must tell you, it went through 7 wonderful pregnancies and 1 miscarriage.
Yes.
I need you to know that no, it's okay. And of course I purified. And she says, no, it's okay. I need the stone. I love it because it's beautiful. So
certainly.
Then there was another 4 babies coming through holding this. Wow. And that was my neighbor who thinks that I'm doing nonsense. She's architect.
Yes.
But it's okay. If you think it's good, give it to me. So I gave it to my neighbor and see how energy works. My neighbor had it, and my daughter came for a visit, unplanned visit. And on her unplanned visit, while she was landing in Israel, she realized that she's pregnant.
Wow.
So I said to myself, oh, the stone, I want to give now that we know she's pregnant. But my neighbor had it, and she's due only in 3 weeks.
Yes.
So what am I going to do? Nothing. But the world, the Lord works in a mysterious way.
Indeed.
She gave birth 2 weeks later. My daughter went with this stone back to the foreign country that she was serving from Israel. The baby came out. Another 2 births came after that. And then the funny part was...
That's a miracle stone.
It's a miracle stone, but wait, it's not the end of the miracle stone. It's coming up there. Now it's the punchline. I was giving a workshop, and somebody took the stone, and it fell, and it broke.
Okay.
And I thought, I'm dying. Because I have this thing that I have to keep them, save them in this physical world. Yeah. And when one of the stones falls to me or something, first of all, I'm flabbergasted.
Yeah.
And then I hold it and I ask forgiveness and whatever you want.
Yeah.
And then I said, okay. Then she wanted to pay me and take the 2 stones. I says, no, this is such a special stone. I come here. Then I went to Mount Shasta, and there are like this. Somebody, and I was convincing myself that maybe because it's such a good stone, I can split it. 1 pregnancy there and 1 pregnancy there. Maybe that's why it broke. You try to.
Of course.
No, somebody normal will say you didn't hold it right. Then that's why it broke. A person like me would start looking for other reasons why this stone broke. And of course there was one person, that was a student of mine many years ago, so she wrote to me that she's pregnant. I sent her half. And then another neighbor was pregnant, so I gave her the half. Both this pregnancy came, I got the stone back.
Wow.
And the punchline is coming out. I went to Mount Shasta last year, and in my group with Telos Israel, and in my group were 2 pregnant ladies, friends from kindergarten. And these ladies, for both of them, it was the 3rd pregnancy. They both had each 2 kids at home, and their friends, and they were like in their 40s, not too young.
Not so
young. And they both had 2 kids at home, and they were both pregnant. Mind you, one was pregnant with 1 child, and the other one was pregnant with twins.
Yes.
I was telling them about my carnelian, and they said, oh, we want it.
Of course.
When I came back home from Mount Shasta, and we were supposed to meet in a couple of weeks, I went and I took this and I said I'll bring them to one girl named Dana and the other one Michal. Here, Dana and Michal, you're on national TV. And so I gave them the stone and
not
look.
quite. Yes.
Not quite. No, but what's interesting, look at this. Look at the size. It's like 1/3 and 2/3.
Yes.
You see it? So one went to the one with the one baby. This went to the one with the 2 babies. All 3 babies were born, and of course I got the stones back.
Wow.
So now I even understand not why it broke, but why it broke
The way it did.
the way it did. 1/3, 2/3. So this is my love story with the crystals.
Okay. I want to ask you, Ricky, about something that really interests me. Recorder stones.
Okay.
I actually once read a book about the crystal skulls.
Oi, why didn't I bring
You
one?
have a crystal
I have,
skull?
yeah, smoky quartz.
Oh my God!
And I looked at it this morning, you know, I checked to see which one I'm bringing to the bag, and I looked at it and I said, what are you going to bring this for?
Well, we
Yeah.
know but it's not necessary, but still.
Yeah, I bought it at Mount Shasta.
This book,
Yeah, okay.
it talked a lot about a very famous one called
Which one?
the Mitchell Hedges crystal stone.
Okay.
It was found in the ruins of by a famous archaeologist, the father of the woman who had it. It was in Canada for many years.
Okay.
Shirley MacLaine wrote about it
Okay.
in her book Going Within, and her experience with it. And in any case, there's a whole chapter in the book which is sort of dictated by this consciousness of the skull, of the crystal skull. And one of the things I remember the skull that it channeled is it said that we have our own crystal skull somewhere in the area of the Dead Sea, and it hasn't been discovered yet. But when it is discovered, it will be very important.
So now we need to go there and look for them.
Well, you could do it. I think you could.
It's something I want to say, but I'll wait for your question.
So I'm fascinated with this idea. I love books. I love libraries. I'm fascinated with the idea that there are these recorder stones that are like books that have sacred information. And I'm fascinated with the idea of somebody being able to
read them,
yeah. and the information coming out into the world, like in this book, which is called, I think it's called, The Crystal Skulls. And by the way, they sent the skulls to the Packard Hewitt Laboratories.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the name of it. Packard, they make the computers.
Mm-hmm.
Packard Hewitt. They have famous.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Famous laboratories, to see if there were any signs of a human being working on this skull. Because, if a human being worked on it, there would be signs. And they couldn't find any signs that anybody had made that skull, that it was ever made by a human being.
Mine was.
Yours was?
Yeah, mine was. Mine was
okay.
Taken from the idea of the original skull.
I don't suppose if it was one of the original
that I would be sitting
that you would be buying it from any store anywhere in the world.
No. Mine was made by, but it kept the idea and the energy and since it was crystals, mine is a smoky crystal because I have a thing with the smoky quartz, which we can talk about it too. They're not the originals. Now I want to say, I want to tell you two things. First of all, I worked with crystals, I lived with crystals intuitively. I didn't read much. I know there's many books.
Yes.
One of my students, one of the nurses that I was telling you about it, she's Russian.
Yes.
And she read maybe 50 books. Lots of information that comes in Russian, by the way. They have.
Oh, the Russians are very
lots of
advanced, also in their science.
Of course.
Yes.
So
science related to these things. Yes.
My knowledge and my experience is mainly related to how I meet them. So I can know, for example, on this stone, I can know something intuitively.
Yes.
Maybe I read something about it. Some of the books, by the way, they cut and paste some of the information.
Yes.
That's not interesting information for me. And all of a sudden, I would work with a crystal, and it doesn't matter what's written in the books, I will get something else in the recall, in the information that comes out. That's one thing I want to say about my expertise with the crystals is the way we live together. Not that much that I read in a book like this or that.
Well,
sometimes what happens to me when I read a book and say, I know it. That's one thing that I wanted to make a thing. The other thing that I want to say is the more we are developed as society, we can get more information. As if once I only knew this information, me personally, or the book that I read, or the teacher that I studied, or something that I taught my students. But with time, the more I'm developed for it, then I will be able to read information that was hidden from me as human nations before.
Yes.
Lots of the crystals, like the New Age crystals, like this one. I don't know if you know this stone.
No.
It's called kyanite.
Okay.
It's considered to be, when we say New Age, we say like in the last 60, 80 years.
Yeah.
Not like the carnelian or the amethyst that have been
precious for...
And we have and we know them. We know them for hundreds and thousands of years. But there's some stones like this one, or this kyanite, this is a celestite. There's some kind of stones that we developed them in the last century or less.
What do you mean we developed them?
No, we found them. We found them.
Okay.
Pardon me. Thank you for the correction. We found them. And it's not that they were not there before. They were there before.
Yes.
We just were not ready to receive the information that's engraved in them. That's why we didn't find them.
Okay.
For example, the Larimar, I see you have dolphins here, so don't want me to talk about. Like the Larimar, this is the dolphin language.
The dolphin what?
Language.
Okay.
Now, the person who found it was not a stone that was known 80 years ago. It was discovered maybe something like 50 or 60 years ago by a person named Larimar. It got the name. Some stones get the name from the land. I got Botswana from Botswana land.
Yes.
Some stones get the names from ancient information.
Yes.
And some stones get the names from a person who first found them.
Yes.
Like the Larimar.
Or that skull I told you about.
Right.
Okay, what do you mean dolphin language?
The Larimar, this particular stone, when you work with it, energetic-wise, it brings the language, the knowledge from the dolphins. Can I put this for you on your so let's talk. Let's talk.
It's a dream. Are you kidding?
Let's talk like this. Okay.
Wow.
So just feel it and enjoy it, and let's leave it for a while. Just it stays there. Okay. It's like I gave you now a glass of good water.
Okay. Very good.
So
Do you want more water?